Hey, Rug Room peeps, how the hell are you? We are back for podcast number 5 of Rug Rescue, and we're excited to do this. I'm absolutely pumped about this show. I love it. I'm just looking forward to doing this for a long time coming. Paul and I have been discussing this for going on some time now about trying to get people to be able to hear the actual call that we're dealing with, why we're asking questions the way we do, what we want from you when we get the call, because we're trying to solve the puzzle and we have to be the detective. We get calls from so many different people from beginners to people who've been doing it a long time, instructors who actually are been teaching for a long time, and they start to clean rugs, or they've been clean rugs and they have an issue that comes up. They call us and bounce ideas off of. We deal with everyone, and that is the beauty of what we do and why we love it so much, because there's not big egos in this. Well, maybe there's a little bit of ego. Let's face it. When we are able to save a rug or do something great, we're pumped. We're excited. We want people to know, because frankly, when they have an issue, we want them to know that we are there for you. We can dissect this. We can figure this out. And if you allow us to, we can solve that problem probably and make your life a little bit better. So when we get these calls, we want to start telling you a little bit more about them. And that's how Rug Rescue was created. Paul and I also have conversations one-on-one about different, subjects and different things. And, maybe they won't be in the trenches of washing a rug sometimes, but we're going to discuss them here. We're going to talk about them. We're going to have fun. But this is Mr. Paul Lucas in the left-hand corner. Paul, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Glad to be here.
It is awesome to be here. I am so thankful for it. It has been an interesting week for me, but I'm ready to go, Paul. So you called me earlier, we talked, and you had another call come in. That was a little bit of a problem. So what happened?
Well, I got a call from a guy, he's in the rug washing business, but he's a little sketchy. So, I kind of wondered why he was even calling me, and, was it some kind of setup? But turns out I was able to help him. So he had washed this leather rug, and everything seemed to go fine. And then they dried it, and then all the little leather pieces, I guess it had like leather pile to it, they all stuck together. And so now the hand of the rug was ruined, and it was like, okay, do I have to rewash it again? Should I apply leather conditioner? What should I do to because it was great when we cleaned it, but now next day here it's stuck together. So just so happens that this rug washer has a tumble dryer. And so what we did was say, well, don't do all that stuff. Don't rewash it. Don't put leather conditioner on it. Just put it in the tumble dryer and let it tumble for a few minutes. Check it, tumble it some more, check it. And that's probably all you need to do. You remember that phone call, Cam?
I think I might know somebody who called you about that. For some reason, it's ringing a bell. But I think this guy who called you about that really knew the answer because he's so smart, but decided to call you anyways. Who was that? You know what? That is absolutely great, Paul, because as soon as you started, I went, oh, that SOB. Okay, so go ahead and tell Paul, who was the call from?
I think his name was Cam. Cameroon Mayfield, I think it was.
Absolutely, it was. And I remember this rug and I remember sitting there thinking to myself, Paul, the conversation was, do I re-clean this? Did I leave soil in there? Do I need to go back with some leather conditioner? Do I need to tumble it? If I do tumble it, how the hell do I go about it? And that's something I want to talk to everybody about, because when it came to the tumbling part of it, now let's get into the world of tumblers for a minute. Okay. There are probably 4 different tumblers out there, I would say, if you want to get into the construction of them. You have the tumblers that have to be in a room closed away or put outside. You have the enclosed ones. You have a dryer style tumbler where there's no real bars or anything. It's just kind of going around. So I'm going to stop there. So actually 3 basic kinds. if you tried to put that rug in some tumblers, you could really, really have a problem come down in your direction. So it needs to be more of an enclosed. You couldn't go into an open style one that you see from Turkey, or there's an American made company that sells one, a great one too. It's built like hell, but it's too open. So let's talk about how to protect that rug for a second. And then we can go back into cleaning it and conditioners and all that. But one of the things that was thrown at me was, and I can't remember if it was you or Nate talking about it, putting it in a laundry bag, a soccer ball bag. And that way now that rug has some protection, because it could be a little brittle. It could be an issue, right? So that's one of the things that we did discuss, didn't we?
Yes, we did. So what happens with leather when you wash it and get it all wet, that water is going to evaporate. And what happens is the leather gets stiff. Okay. And this happens when you clean leather too. So one of the tricks of cleaning a hide or a leather rug is you must manipulate that skin with typically a weighted roller on a surface that's not rock hard, a surface that'll give. So if you have a thin rug or just leather, no hair, you want to put down like a quilt or a carpet cushion, rug cushion, so that when you put that weighted roller across it, it manipulates and moves that leather, and that breaks that stiffness. If you skip that step, then you end up with leather like rawhide, where it's hard. And that's also why there's that stickiness, because the fibers get next to each other, the leather gets next to each other, that water moves away, and then again, you get the same thing we talked about earlier on another podcast. There is, you get those hydrogen bonds that act like glue and stick those fibers together, and then they dry hard. So leather requires some manipulation. Now, let me give you an example. If you're old, you'll know that this is true.
I see we got Thomas on here, Paul, so he'll understand what you're saying.
Okay.
You needed someone old to pay attention to this. So
yeah,
Thomas, you can hear us. You pay attention to this one.
So if you're an older person, when you were little, mom used to wash your clothes, and she took the clothes and put them on a line out in the backyard, a clothesline, and she used clothespins, and she hung those clothes to dry in the outdoor environment. Well, if you had blue jeans, when you tried to put them on the next day, they were stiff as a board, and they're made out of cotton. Yeah. You had a hard time getting your feet to go through the legs because they were like glued together and stiff. And sometimes you could even stand your pants up or your shorts up because they were so stiff. And sometimes even a shirt, when you put your arm into the sleeve, you had a hard time pushing your hand through. Sometimes you had to take it back off and open up that sleeve. Well, that's again, when drying happens, the moisture leaves and the fiber sticks to itself because again of those hydrogen bonds. So tumbling in a dryer, it's not just drying, it's also breaking that surface tension and loosening up those fibers so that when you pull it out of the dryer, it's nice and soft and not stiff and hard. So if you're old enough, or you didn't have a tumble dryer when in your home, then you know exactly what's happening. So the same thing, we wash a leather rug, we dry it on the line or dry it on the drying rack, and it gets stiff. And it just needs that tumbling to remove that stiffness.
And I'll tell you what, Paul, when it came to that particular rug, I wish I had a picture of it. And down the road, we'll start providing more pics. Also in the comment section when we post this to YouTube in different areas, in the comment area, you will notice that we will post links to the products that we're talking about. And we will also post, we'll try to post pictures to the subject of what we're talking about. That way you guys can kind of get a good grip on what we're discussing. However, this podcast is more about just talking about it and discussing things and stuff like that. Everyone will also post our phone numbers. That way, if you ever have questions, you're always welcome to call us and we'll be here to help. Tumbling did wonders for that rug. It solved the problem. And I remember when we talked about it, you know, I was really back and forth on what I wanted to do with that rug. And the reason is because I've cleaned many of them. However, this one was clumping up differently than what I was used to. It didn't seem to react to conditioner or re-cleaning like I expected. And I just was kind of scratching my head going, wait a minute, why is this not doing what I expect it to do? And then I stopped and I remembered something. It's a freaking rug. Why does any rug not do what we want it to do sometimes? You know, you get the same damn rug you've cleaned 20,000 times, and all of a sudden that one time, that's why I always get a kick out of the carpet cleaners and some rug cleaners that will say, well, I've done this 1,000 times and it's always worked out. And then 1001 comes back to vitamin E, ASS. Paul said, I can't cuss on this, even though it's a podcast, so I want to spell it out. You know, so it does happen. Weird things happen, strange things happen. And this one really did throw me for a loop, Paul. So we discussed it. Now, here's something I want to talk about before we end this podcast, because this is going to be a little bit of a shorter one tonight on this particular subject. But I want to get into the conditioner side of things. We preach over and over and over again when we're doing hides, first in, last out on those backs. Get that leather conditioner on there, roll it in, work it in, go to wash the rug, typically with LST unless we have urine. This is one of those leather shag rugs that we were dealing with. Because of that style, can we put the leather conditioner on the face of that rug? Could we do that and then start washing? Is that okay to do with those?
Yeah, in class and also on my website at chemax.com website, we put in the leather conditioner first in, last out. So we put it in and then we wash it out. And if it needs it, we put it in again. Okay, so here's what the situation is. We say we want to moisturize the leather. That's kind of the term. Or like your skin. If you have dry skin, you want to moisturize your skin. Well, it's not moisture. I mean, it's a term we use, but it's not water. It's not humidity. What we want to do is replace the lipids. So a living animal has in their skin, you too, me too, we have lipids or fats that the body manufactures that are in our skin. And that makes the skin healthy and pliable and all those good things. Now, when you kill that animal and you skin them, it can't make those lipids anymore. So eventually it's going to dry out. And when it dries out, it's going to get stiff and hard and not feel soft and nice. And it's going to take on a shape and it's not going to want to move from that shape. So what we need to do is replace those lipids and put them back in. So we say we're moisturizing the leather, but what we're doing is we're putting lipids back in. And that's what leather conditioner is new lipids. Now, for your skin, you can just use like, hand cream and put that in, and that'll make it nice. But you take a shower and you clean often, so those do not get rancid. But with leather, where you only go clean it once a year or once every 5 years, you want to use lipids that will not decay and not be consumed by microorganisms.
Absolutely, Paul. I always love doing the leathers because it's so many have cleaned them. from carpet cleaners to rug cleaners haven't quite gotten the results they want. And the things we get into, from the conditioner to the tumbling to leaf blowers on the face, all those things with these hides, it really makes such a difference. And it really takes you from being just this average everyday cleaner to being the expert. And everyone always talks about, what do they say? How do I separate myself from everybody else? Well, guess what, folks? The stuff we're talking about right now, this is the stuff that separates you. This is stuff that makes you better than next guy, next company, next gal. And you really got to get these things, pay attention to them, because they're so important. But on that one, here it is. You've got someone now. I've been instructing going on. I won't say I was an instructor for the first couple of years. I was still learning a lot. I wasn't there. I can comfortably say I've been instructing now for about the last 7. And this was, what, a year ago, Paul, when I called you about this rug? About a year, right?
Yeah, maybe less.
Yeah. And, I just didn't feel 100%. I brainstormed it, but it wasn't enough for me to feel 100% comfortable. So I made that phone call. And that's what this podcast is all about. Guys, thanks for joining us on Rug Rescue podcast number 5. This is something that we want to put out there to you guys, have a good conversation, and try to give you something that might be beneficial to you. We've got more coming up. We're looking forward to 2023. Got amazing classes coming up, different style classes coming up, all sorts of things that are going on. Mr. Paul Lucas has already got different ideas for some new products. Like always, the guy's constantly coming up with something. I get phone calls at 3:30 in the morning. Yeah, who's this? I'm thinking it's emergency. Hey, this is Paul. I've got an idea. I mean, he's just a maniac. 3:30 in the morning, he's got an idea for something. I'm going, are you freaking crazy? But that's Mr. Paul Lucas. He is one of the best, no doubt about it. But look, guys, we really appreciate you, and we really hope that you're going to join us for more podcasts to come with Rug Rescue. And if you have any suggestions, please put it in the comments. Please hit the like buttons, all that good stuff as we get this posted. We're going to need all of you behind us so we can keep building on this and put something great out there for you. Again, guys, Cam Mayville here, Mr. Paul Lucas up in the corner, my best bud. Thanks again. Keep it clean, and we will see you next time on Rug Rescue. Take care.
Thanks for showing up.